Anyway, today's class, we are going to be, and we'll just do the class however long it takes. It probably won't take the full hour, but I got lots of other stuff to do. But today we're going to show you how to bring your own terrain textures into the map. So you can change things up a little bit, and we're going to actually add textures. We're not going to alter the one that we have. We're going to just add a new one to the list that's already in there. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find a texture to use. And I got a tab open up because Google's on my other screen as well. And what I always do is I like to search for seamless. And I already searched earlier, so we're going to use the seamless slate texture I was looking for. And just go to the images and take a look at what they have there. I also try to look for something that is square, and you can highlight over them and see what sizes the images are. We're not going to worry too much other than we want it to be more than 512 by 512. And I already have one that I wanted to try today. That looked kind of cool, and it's this one right here. Also, you want to make sure you don't have a watermark on it, like this one here says Shutterstock. You can see it. You don't want a watermark. So let's find the one that we do want one more time right here. You can see it's 600 by 600 pavement texture. I'm going to make this, see if we can make this and put it on our ground. Now let's see what else we have here actually. That one doesn't look too bad if you want to do blocks, but you can find, usually when you find one on a site, you can find several different ones that you could use and try out. We're going to see if we can make this brick patio-like texture onto the ground, built into the map, so we can use it anywhere we want to paint it. So, let's go off of that website, back to where we were. I always like to open up the image in a new tab, just so we have, I didn't want to open the page in a new tab. Open the image in a new tab, just so we have the image here. And then right click, save image as. I'm going to stick it on my desktop with all the other junk on my desktop. And we will call it, let's call it pavers, or yeah, we'll just call it pavers.jpg for now, and save it to the desktop. Then we're going to load it up into GIMP and do the editing of the picture that we need to do first. Let GIMP load up here, and let's open up my desktop and find my paver. Thanks for the follow, Shaky. Find the paver JPEG file, and there we have it. And it looks like it might even have a dotted line around the outside, which I am not too fond of, but we're going to leave it as is. And one of the quick tests you could do to make sure it is seamless is, let's take this real quick and we'll create a new file. And I'm going to probably have pop-ups on another screen over here. Let's get that over here this time, now we know. And I'm going to make it 512 by 512 so I know what size I'm working with. I'm going to reduce this image, scale image, down to 256 by 256, which is about the size we're going to need for this anyway. And then with that image, I am going to take it and file, edit. Yeah, let's go to edit. Select all. Where is our select all? I keep getting confused between, oh, there's select all between the two programs. Select all under the select menu. Then we'll copy it, and then we're just going to take it and paste it as a new pattern. And we'll get a pop-up asking for what we want to name our pattern. And click OK. The pattern will show up in your pattern list as the top one right there. We'll go to the new image and let's drag it, and you can see it's relatively, looks halfway decent tiled. because now we're tiled 4 of them together just by dragging it in there. And then once we have that done, we're going to save as, or actually with this one we're going to export it as a DDS file, and we'll put it right on our desktop again where I can find it, and we'll call it paver.dds, and we're going to set it to BC1 DTX1 and generate the bitmaps and output. Alvarez is on holiday. Unfortunately, that stupid thing isn't working again. Alright, so we should have on our desktop somewhere, which we'll find later, a copy of the 512 by 512 image of the pavers. We also need to create a normal map, and if you didn't get the filter for the normal maps, I did a tutorial on this already. You can find out how to install the plugin for the normal maps, and we'll make a normal map, and I always like to use either the 3x3 or the 5x5. I think we're going to use the 3x3 and just click OK. We now have our normal map image, which we will save as, export. Export as paver, and we'll just dash normal underscore normal and save that to our desktop as well. So we now have our 2 image files for the paver on our desktop, and I'm going to leave this open. Just minimize it out of your way. And next thing, we need to find our 2 images, which are going to be on my desktop over here, because everything always goes. We got our paver normal and our regular paver. We want to copy those into the map class folder under the map, textures, and you'll see a terrain folder. We add in our paver normal and our paver DDS file right in here. And I'm not going to worry about the distance diffuse texture yet. We're going to steal one off of the cobblestone. We'll use the same one for now and see how it looks. Alright, once we have those in there, there's one other file we need. And that is in the map01 folder. You'll see several weight files, they're called, and they tell where on the map the paver texture is, and we need to create a new one. So what I like to do is the easiest way, rather than creating one, because both Windows Paint and GIMP have a very difficult time actually creating this type of file, which is a simple 8-bit file, single channel. What we're going to do is we're going to copy one that we know is blank. I don't have any beach sand on the map right now. You can see there's no white spots in the beach sand. And if you already have some white spots in one of yours and you're looking for a clean one, just try to find a single size map that has a clean one in it and make a duplicate of that file, and we are going to rename it to paver underscore weight and get rid of the copy of. So we have paver underscore weight .png file, and that is necessity to have your weight file for your pavers in there as well. Completely blank. Now for the fun part. Open up your map, and this time we're going to take the map file here and edit it with Notepad. And here we are. What you're going to look for, very simply, is you can type in the search for terrain transform group. And when you search for that, it'll bring you to this section right here. You just go to search, find, type in terrain transform group there, and it'll bring you down to this section right here. And you'll see the layers for each of the terrain sections, and we have several here. Those are all the terrain types. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of them, and I'll take cobblestone because it's the highest priority, number 7. It was the last one entered, and it's similar to what we're using. We're going to create a texture like cobblestone, but a brick texture on the ground. So try to find something that's similar. We're going to just copy that line, and I'm going to throw it right down on the bottom here, and I'm going to name it paver. And we'll get back to these numbers here in a minute. You'll see a priority number. Everybody has their priority, and they're from 0 down to 7, and we need to make this one here the highest priority, the next one in the list, which is 8. Just change your priority. Below that, we have some layering options. And again, the simplest way is to copy something similar, like the layer pair of cobblestone has several different ones, and it basically tells you the base is cobblestone, the top grass goes over the top, cobblestone, and it's just all about blending them. So I'm going to grab these 3 here and copy them, put them down here, and we'll grab the one with cobblestone and leaves as well and make a copy of that one. So everyone that has the cobblestone, oh, I grabbed the beach sand instead of the cobblestone. Let's get rid of that. I want the cobblestone with the leaves, which is this one more time. So I have 4 different cobblestone. We're going to leave everything else the same, except for I'm going to change the base to paver on each 4 of these, and that just tells you how to layer it with the other materials that are around it. Or all, I think I changed one too many because this one was supposed to be cobblestone here. So the 4 paver ones, you want to make sure you have each one labeled correctly, and it'll tell it how to layer it with the materials that are around it. You also have a sharpness level. With these are all set up to the max at 3, whereas beach sand blends a little bit less. So we got sharpness, everything's all set. We got all our layer pairs. Next thing we need to do is we have back up to the top here, we have the cobblestone, and we have a detail map ID. And currently it's the same as the cobblestone, but we want to change it for the paver. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to just throw this is my way of doing it. You can even write these numbers down, but I'm going to put a 99930 in front of the detail map. It has to be the highest number in your map when you set this up. Again, 99931 for the normal map ID. We're going to use the same distance map for now as the cobblestone, so we'll leave that ID number the same right there. If you want to create your own distance map, which we can get into that as well, it's just a matter of getting color matching, which can be a pain in the butt, so we'll work on that a little bit later. It's a lower detailed image from the distance. But right now we're going to go with these 2. Detail is 99930, normal is 99931, and then we do need our weight map ID, which is going to be 99928. Now if I can write these down, because we're going to need them, and I'm going to write down, so our normal is 31, our regular one is 30, and 28 for our density file. Now if you scroll back up to the top, and let's search for the original numbers, which were, actually if I find one, we'll probably find them all grouped together. We'll search for 30, and make sure your direction is down. There you go, 30. You will see we have the terrain cobblestone diffuse. We have terrain cobblestone distance diffuse, which we're keeping, but we need 30 and 31, so I'm going to copy actually we're just going to copy all three and we'll get rid of the middle one. It'll be easier for now. Scroll down to the bottom of your file list, which is right down here, and I'm going to delete the 29 out of the middle because we don't need that. There we go. We got 30, 31. 30 being our normal file, our regular file, our diffuse, which is now, remember we named it paver. And did we name it paver diffuse or did we name it paver dash diffuse? Let me, textures, terrain, and it is named paver, so I'm going to change that, just keep the format all the same. Paver diffuse and paver normal. Okay, we'll bring that back up. Textures, terrain, paver diffuse, and the other one is right in the same place, but it's going to be paver normal file. And now we need one more file, which was file number 28. Also, we want to rename these. Remember, I put a 999 in front of them, number them, so they correspond to the new ones that we have. And now we got to find file number 28 and get its path. It's the easiest way to do it without screwing up. 28, find next. And we have the link to the map01 folder where the cobblestone weight, we're going to copy that one. Go to the bottom of our files. And add the 999 in front of it because it corresponds to the new one that I already made. And it's called paver weight. Now, we have our links to the three files here: 28, 30, 99928, 99930, 99931. And it should be paver weight PNG, paver diffuse, and paver normal. And I'm just going to go back down and make sure that we have them all right in this area once more. 930, 931, 928, just double checking. Distance map, we're using the same one as above, the cobblestone for now. And we should be good to go. Let's save the file right there. And open up the map in the editor. See what we have. Now, if everything went correctly, which sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, missteps here and there, but I'm pretty confident that we got this right this time, the first time, but we'll find out soon enough. So anyway, anybody that joined late, we're just showing how to add a new texture to your map. There's the billboard we were working on. And a completely new terrain texture rather than reusing one that was already in the map. We added a new one. So if we go to our terrain menu now, select terrain on, and let's get a cursor that's a little bit more reasonable to work with. Actually, we'll go a little smaller too. And if we look here, we should have the paver terrain that we added in the texture layer section. I will click on paver. I'm going to set it up as replace and square, and then we're going to see what it looks like on. Voila. So we brought in the paver stones. You can make yourself a new parking lot with paver, and you can see the blend is the same as, so you got a pretty nice sharp edge up against the grass because we set the layers correctly. And we can make this whole parking lot into a paver type thing. So very simple. I actually like this one a lot. But what's it going to look like in game? Sometimes it might look too big to you. Like, is it really an oversized block? We'll load into game, which is always a good idea. check and see what it looks like, and if it's too big, we can shrink it down. But we'll color in our parking lot right near the sign that we did on Tuesday. Fill it all in. Might be a little busy, but it's a totally different look for your map, which is kind of cool. And we'll save that. Let's jump in the map and take a look. You can do this with any texture type to bring them into the map. If you notice in the PV15 map, we brought in the coal, the sand, which is separate from beach sand. We brought in our own textures for the stone and the salt as well, right into the map, so we could paint textures right onto the map. We got that saved. Let's go check it out and see what we think in the map. Let me make sure my folder is correct over here. Map class. I wish that the bot was working. I could throw up the links for everything. But a very quick demo on giving you guys an idea on how to bring your texture into the map. Let's start with an empty save game slot here. Bring up our map. And see what the parking lot looks like up close and personal. Chances are we don't want a tutorial. Here you go. Actually, I like the looks of it, but are the blocks too big, or are you happy with them? It's kind of cool. Totally different look to the parking lot here. Simple add a new texture. One thing you do have to remember when you're adding new textures is, as I showed you before, but you can only have 4 different texture types in a single square area, which I actually like it the way it is. But if you thought you wanted smaller blocks, we'll just give you the demo one more time. If the boxes are too small, too big for your liking, I really like the way it looks personally. But let's take a look. Actually, sometimes, you know, you might think you like that, but maybe shrinking it down would even look a little better. So, we have the paver and we have the normal map. I'm going to take the first image here, and again, it's as simple as if you view your image size, it's 256 by 256, and actually what we would do is create a new image. Actually, I saved it. That was a very small image for the detail that we got out of it. But we're going to take that and create a new image, and we're going to make it 128 by 128 to make it smaller. Then I'm going to take this here and resize it to 128 by 1. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's create a 256 by 256 new image instead, or 512 by 512 even. Give it more detail. We already have the 256 by 256 image. If we now take the smaller image and make it into your pattern again, make sure you have select all so the border's already highlighted here, and we want to copy it and paste it as a pattern again. New pattern. We'll overwrite our existing one, and this is the one that I was really shooting for. You could see it's a 512 by 512 image, which actually is the same size tiles as this one here. So what I'm going to do again is take this here and I'm going to scale it down even smaller so the blocks are smaller. But I'm going to copy it into this 512 image right here. So we see how small they are, and we will copy that and paste it paste it as the pattern one more time. Now if we go over to here, and this is how you just keep shrinking it down. There you go. You can see we got much more detail in the same area. Let's go to save that, and I'm going to actually export. This time I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to go export it, and I'm going to go right into my mod folder where I know it's going to be, which is under the textures, terrain, and we can already find our paver model in there. Paver diffuse. Asks me to overwrite it, and we already have the settings correct. Generate maps. We'll overwrite that one. And then let's make a normal map out of this one as well. Map, normal map. It's already set the way I like it. And export that to the normal file. And you can, the reason why I'm doing it this way as well is because if we don't like the new look, it's very quick to come back and undo, and resave right over the top of what we have. You could back up the one you currently have, if that's the way you prefer. But I now have my normal map, and I have my other map. See, if I just go back and undo this, I have that. If I undo the bucket fill, we have the original one we were working on. So I can easily save this right back. In the editor, this is where I would tell. You click the reload images, and there you go. We reloaded the new texture in. Lots smaller bricks, many more of them. We'll save it out, which might be more realistic in size is the way I'm looking at it. But let's save it and bring up the game one more time. See how the new one looks. Alright, new game. Load it up. If you load a save with a changed map file, it depends on the map file that you're using. If you load it with the same map, you should be fine. Alright, here we go. That's the smaller texture. You can see they're shrunk down. Looks more like a patio, and I kind of like that as well. Pretty cool texture. I think I'm going to keep that one in my library. So, yep. Your choice. It's your look. If you want to try one more while we got plenty of time here, let's see what else we can find on the web for adding one more time. We'll go through the whole thing one more time with a different texture. Anybody have any suggestions of texture type that they would like to see? I'll give you a minute to check that out. And open myself up a new window. Let's see, ground textures. What can we put on the ground that might look cool? Let's go for a seamless. Always search for seamless. That means that the ends will butt up together nicely and look pretty good. I was actually looking for a slate texture that was a little bit different, but let's see what else we have in the library here. Always looking for square ones. I mean, we could try something like that, but it has the watermark in it. We don't want watermarks. There's plenty of stuff out there on the web. Let's take this one here. Looks kind of cool. See what that looks like on the ground. So again, we'll view the image, save it as, what are we going to call this one? We'll call this our slate.jpg. We'll work on slate this time. Exit out of there, bring up GIMP, and let's open our slate JPEG file. Much larger file. Let's image, scale it down to our 512 by 512. And it might be a little bit, we'll have to see what it looks like. Right, we have it scaled down to 512 by 512. And we want to export that as a DDS file. See what it looks like in game when we're done. And I'm going to put it right in the folder because we already know where they're going to go. They're going into our map folder, which is map class and map textures terrain. And this is our slate diffuse, so we're going to call it slate diffuse. Export it with our settings already good to go. Now we create our normal map, normal map. Export that as well. Whoops, I just overwrote the other one. So let's we'll export this to normal, slate normal. My finger slipped, and I know I just overwrote my other one. That's all good. So I'm going to undo the normal map and resave this one over my slate diffuse texture. There we go. So we have our slate diffuse and our slate normal. Next thing to do is, again, one of the fun things that we'll close that right down. In our map class map, you will notice that map 01, we can still use the beach sand, but if you notice, the paver weight has that little white dot in there because that's where we painted the texture of the paver right there and that little dot. So we're going to copy this one more time and paste, and we're going to rename it to slate weight, actually, SLATE_WEIGHT .png. So we have the slate PNG file in our map folder, and we should just double check, make sure you'll have our slate normal and diffuse. So we're good to go with the three files. Back into map editor in Notepad one more time. Now if you look down here, you'll notice that those 999s disappeared. When you save a map in Giant's editor, it automatically renumbers the files for you. So we don't have the 999 anymore. We can use it again even if we had the same numbers. If once the map's saved, it reorders them and it gets rid of those really high ridiculous numbers that I use, so it's never a problem using those high numbers, but it's an easy way for me to do it. So that's why I use it that way. We'll go back down again and repeat the process one more time. And that is, I'm going to try to find it. Alright, we can copy any one of these, but seeing as we just used the paver, you can see it's now normal map ID is 38 instead of 999, whatever we had it. I'm going to copy that line and again add it, and we're going to call this slate. We're going to add a 99937 this time and a 99938 and a 99936 for the weight map. We got to change our priority one higher than the 8, which was the last one on the list, and we'll add it to make it a 9 so it has its own priority. Then we go down to the layering, and we can take, notice how nice and mixed up they are this time. It's funny how Giants rearranges it. Put the pavers right next to the, let's make some room here. Find all my paver ones, which, here's one right here. Copy, paste. And let's see, one there, 1736. This one here. And our last one is right here. The 4 lines that have paver in it, we're going to duplicate them for slate. And we can get rid of our space in between that I used just to help me out there. We do not want that one, the bottom 4, so we're going to name these slate. The new ones we just put in. And that just gives us the nice edges with, depending what material is on the map. Same as a cobblestone edge would have. We're all set there. Now we just got to go back up, and we are using, those numbers are once again 37 for the detail, 99937, 38 for the normal map, and 36 for the weight map ID. So let's search here for our 37. Up. Let's put quotes around it. Maybe we'll find the exact thing we need. And we have our 37 and our 38 right together as usual. They're usually right close together. We'll copy those, bring them down here. I'm going to put my 999s in front of them and change the name to the slate because that's what we named them. If you keep everything the same format, it really makes your changes to add new stuff very easy. So I've just made a stale instead of slate. There we go, slate normal, slate diffuse. Now we need the 3.6 image, which is the link to the weight map file. So we're going to search for the 3.6 image that we used. And there we are, the map paver weight. There, it's the easiest way. I mean, if you want to remember all the syntax for putting these lines in, now, or if you're a faster typer than myself, have a ball and just type them all in, but I copy paste everything. Much easier for me. 99936 stone weight or slate weight is our new one. Save that. Now we should have one more in the map. If we did it all right for the second time in a row. Yeah, if you're doing multiple terrain add-ins, you could do that, yep. Now we should go over here. If we look, we have our slate right underneath our paver. Let's get our radius back down to something a little more normal. And we'll replace. And we want a square for this parking lot. And now we have a new texture, which actually also looks pretty darn good if you ask me. I like it a lot. But you could go crazy. Now remember before, real quick, I want to show you two things. I was telling you, oops, well we went out of the line, so we'll give it a little more back lot, no big deal. They need something underneath their stairway anyway. The first thing I wanted to remind you of is the number of textures in a box. Boy, you could just go crazy with trying to line these up sometimes. I'm going to just make it a little bigger. There we go, a little bigger lot. Number of textures in a box. While we have this selected, if you look, there's a square box here. Just a reminder, the box goes all the way over to here, all right there. You can see the box. Inside that box, you can see I have slate, gravel, and grass. Now, I'm pretty sure that somewhere in here I overwrote all the gravel in there. So there should only be, it was underneath the road. I just found it. If there isn't, if you cannot find it, you can select remove and then select whatever it is, and it will remove that texture from this block area. So if you have a little piece left, I don't have one here, but that is one way you could get rid of it, is by selecting remove, and it'll remove all gravel that was left. But you got to remember that there's no more than 4 textures in this box. So if I did have, for instance, we'll do a quick thing on the outside just for demo. If I have gravel in this box and say across the street, I might even be working on a whole nother project that has an asphalt parking lot, and I wanted to put some sand in the back lot. Well, let's see, do we have beach sand? I can't add beach sand now. It has 4 textures in that area. Can't add a 5th. If I started to paint over here, I can add it, but it won't let me go inside that box. So we have our 4 textures. Now again, as I was going to show you before, if we remove and we select, whoops, wrong one. If we select the gravel right here and we click to remove, it'll ask you, you want to remove the current layer from the terrain chunk. Click OK, and apparently I moved a different layer. Which one did I move? Oh, we did move. Alright, we have gravel. Texture layer gravel. What's my current texture layer? Why is it not removing? It removed the sand. But that is one way. What do we have here? We have gravel, asphalt, slate, and grass. Let me try to select one more time the asphalt. And it's not removing it. Let's try subtract. Well, it definitely subtracted it. And you can see it down here, we have actually slate. So subtract must be what we have to do to remove it completely. So if we went to gravel, we should be able to just select the gravel and subtract it from the terrain. Yeah, it won't touch it. That's what it is, subtract. My bad. It's been a while, but you get this weird stuff going on around the edges. You'll have to color in your grass again anyway, but you can remove a whole texture area. You can see it just popped right back up. You can only have 4 in a box, and that's pretty much it. The other thing I wanted to show you is we used the distance ID of, and it actually blends in pretty good, of the cobblestone. If you had a really bad looking distance texture, which it seems to be where you can see it start to blur right here, it actually looks probably better than it did on the cobblestone. If you back out, you can see the dirt texture changes a little bit. That's your distance texture that you'll be seeing in the game at a distance. And you just want to make sure the color match is pretty good. As long as it is, you're good to go. Let's jump into game and see what this one looks like real quick. Is that what it is? Got to have a smaller radius and closer to the center of the chunk. Gotcha. Thank you. Where's the pool? The pool is not on the map, but we have a nice looking texture. We'll see what that looks like. Now coming up afterwards, we kind of got a 2.0 preview this week. I know the calendar was empty. 9 o'clock, the 2.0 preview. I didn't realize that they expired on the calendar. I thought I had them to run until I told it to stop. So that was my bad, but it's back on the calendar. There isn't much left to preview of 2.0, so we're going to preview a little bit different. Again, maybe you want a pool, put this around a pool, but it's a different texture. And it actually looks pretty good for a seamless texture in the game. I kind of like it. So it gives you an idea. So yeah, we're going to preview a couple more things on 2.0, but if you haven't been following us, I started a new map project. I'll show you the very, very beginning of that one. Maybe I'll have to bring in some of these cool textures, because yeah, haven't seen anything like that in the game yet. And other than that, we'll show you a few new things. Big Daddy's got some new, you see pool decks with that. Big Daddy's got some new mods to show off as well, so stick around for 9 o'clock. And we definitely have lots of new things, but they're not all related to the 2.0, and we'll have some information as far as what we're going to do with 2.0 as well. It's still up in the air. So, as soon as we come back, and if you guys want these textures already saved, I'll zip them up for you and get them up on the website as well later. The two that I already created, that way you can just try to add them in your map, or you can find them. You know where I found them. It's all there on Google. Experiment. Show me, if you guys find something you think looks really cool, send it along. If you get something, I'd love to try out some new textures and bring some new looks into the game rather than the standard ones that we already have. Yeah, so about 9 o'clock, we're gonna pretty much call this one for now, and at 9 o'clock we'll come back and we'll start showing you some cool stuff. Yeah, actually I've seen this in parking lots. I'm digging it. I probably saw it in Florida because I spent a lot of time down there. But yeah, put some parking lines on there. It'll be cool. Or build a pool and put it around it. Nice backyard or sidewalk possibly. For a sidewalk, you might want to make the texture, shrink it down a little bit smaller so the blocks are smaller. Tons of ideas, but there you go. A couple new textures to add to your map. I'll put those on as well a little bit later after the 9 o'clock show with so if you wanted to use these, and if you make something that you think is really cool that you found, send it along. I'd love to see what you have. That's going to be about it for now, unless anybody has any questions. I was actually down near Daytona for about 6 months well, it might even, was it last year? I think it was. But anyhow, alright guys, we'll catch you back at 9 o'clock. Come on back if you want to see some of what's been going on around here. And find out what we're doing with 2.0. And next week, because we're at a transition point with everything, I might go over a little bit on this class, and we'll show you how to add new foliage layers into the map, which it does take a lot longer than adding just a terrain layer, but we'll show you how to add the foliage. Say you want to bring in, we'll bring something over from PV15 and throw it in this map and see what happens. So stick around for the 9 o'clock or come back at 9 o'clock. It's about an hour, 10 minutes away. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you later.